I just started recording, by the way.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So being a geek, I have the capability, of course, to so these are going to be the new garage doors, which are intended to give the same kind of idea. Oh,
Yeah,
no,
that's
no.
cool.
Oh, actually, this is the wrong picture. Hold on. Here's this one. Here's this one.
You can bring my
There,
glass.
that's. You don't see this. Hold on. So yeah, so this is so there'll be two doors in the middle that open, so that it's you could put a car in if you really wanted to. It's 8 feet wide, but like it has basically the same number of windows, and you know, so it'll be similar looking, but like just two doors in the middle, and the side panels will be fixed.
I love it.
So yeah.
That's so cool.
Hey, it looks like Anul made it.
Yay.
Woohoo! And Michael Witt.
Grandma.
Michael.
Hey, how are you?
Grandma.
Hey, welcome. How's everybody doing?
Hey, Ryan. So good.
Anul's got his Wylam t-shirt on. I forgot to wear mine.
Sorry, I'm forever the procrastinator. I'm trying to finish my thing.
This is my thing.
Or your Peloton? How do you like it?
I love it. I love it. So I spent many years paying many hundreds of dollars to my gym and never going. And so instead I spend many hundreds of dollars to Peloton, and I do it every day. And I do it almost every day.
Oh, that's cool.
Good.
So do you do the taped ones, or do you have to like do it at a certain time, or is it just taped? Do you do whatever you want, or how does it work?
You can do it whenever you want. You can do it whenever you want. They have live classes, and the appeal of the live classes is that sometimes you get a shout out if it's like a milestone or something like that. But it's like, I don't care. It's like, I just generally just do it whenever I can do it. And now Joyce is doing it too. So we have a little bit of like, okay, you're doing it. You actually got out of bed first, so you get to do it. But I get to stay in bed. Stay in bed, so that's really nice. And then I do it at noon or something.
Oh, that's cool. I've heard really good things about Peloton. So
they have an app too, so you don't have to buy anything. You have to subscribe to the thing, but they have lots of content, so you can do weights and strength training, whole body. It's pretty fun.
And I wonder, like, with after the whole pandemic, if gyms are going to actually come back.
Right.
Because people aren't going now, so everybody's figured out that they don't have to go. So I wonder if they're going to come back.
They're gaining a lot of weight, I think, in general too. I think they like the gyms. They want they're willing to risk COVID to go to the gym.
I know that's the one thing I've noticed, that some gyms are open, and I mean, as much as I love the gym, they won't see me till I know I have a 0% chance of transmission. So
hey, Grandma, can you hear us?
Yes.
Hi.
How are you?
Hey,
hi, everybody.
Good morning.
Nice to see everybody.
So nice.
The thing about going to the gyms is that, if that's what motivates you to get there, I have a heck of a time getting motivated to get there.
Yeah.
And so if it's the other people that motivate you, well, that's a trade-off.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, I just as soon not get COVID myself too, so I don't go neither.
So I switched gyms. Like I was at the YMCA, which was more kind of like like the people, I saw a bunch of people from my church there. There was like a lot of like, you know, I don't know. It's like a lot of people like me. And then I switched to the JCC, which is the Jewish Community Center gym, which was a little nicer, but like a lot of the people, I don't know. It was like different. Just I never felt welcome. It was weird. So, and I just, you know, although their spin classes were really good actually. So, but now I have Peloton, so I don't need spin classes. So I have my own spin classes. So.
How long have you had it?
I got it in January.
Oh, so the newness is worn off and you're still in there.
Yep. And in fact, I've actually upped my game. I'm doing it at least. I'm spinning at least 4 times a week, and I'm trying to do at least 1 or 2 strength classes a week.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So it's earned its keep already.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
And it's right there at the foot of my bed, so I can just get up and go. No commute.
Yeah.
Staring at you from the foot of your bed.
Yeah.
Looks like Lizzie arrived.
Hi, Lizzie.
Right.
How is everyone?
Good.
Glad to see you.
Sleepy.
Manul, thanks for waking up early.
I know. Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for pushing it back a bit so I could wake up.
What time is it there, Anil?
Not yet 6. We're almost touching 6 now. Yeah.
Wow.
6 in
Oh,
the
if only you
morning.
could sleep until 6 o'clock every day. That'd be so nice.
Oh, you're an early riser, Justin. Unlike me.
Hey, Emily made it.
And
Hey, Emily, did you get your power back?
Yeah, I did. It was only out for a couple hours today, like maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Did you get cold?
No, it was warm, and I was outside for most of it.
Cool posters.
Thanks. People, I don't know if you can see, but I have my Google Mini here, and people keep on asking me if it's a faucet and if I'm sitting in a bathtub. So after a couple of questions of that, I was like, I have to put something behind me.
Nice choice.
You just say yes.
Yeah, and get a tape recording of a flushing sound.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Well, hey, Newell,
Hey, good morning.
you know the dot thing? You know the dot thing for the fever?
Oh, yeah?
Do you think that would really ever go in India?
I think it would if the color isn't black.
If what?
The color's not.
It would if the color
black.
is black.
Oh,
It needs to be anything but black.
well, that's the way it comes. So,
Yeah.
but we read a thing that said black was okay too. Maybe not generally.
You did? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it wards off evil. Come on,
Oh.
get with the program. And even if it doesn't, we'll make it so. We'll get our marketers to work on that.
We'll just get
Ward off evil and the covirus.
some guru
Awesome.
to say that it wards off evil, and
Yeah, we need some influencer. That's all.
yeah.
One influencer is all it takes.
But, you know, I just envision that taking India by storm. Am I out of my mind?
You aren't. There's 1.3 billion people. So even if you touch 13,000 people, it's like a lot, right?
Heck, we could give away that much. It doesn't cost anything to make.
Yeah. Alexa, turn on the lights.
Hi, Beanie.
Let me put on some more lights.
Oh, it's Donnie. Hi.
Hello.
I just sent you the link. in case some people-
Yes, I was on the Google Meet.
It's so worse others.
Me too.
Hey,
Me
Sam.
too.
Wow, we got an echo.
There we go.
Cool Crossroads of Indiana shirt.
Oh, thank you.
Michael will appreciate that.
Yeah, that's cool.
How you doing, Michael?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Good. It's nice to see you.
Too. So I heard that high school football is in full effect in Indiana.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they're playing like full schedules. My cousin is playing, little cousin. So I
Oh,
didn't know
well,
because here they're not playing at all.
What's not in Indianapolis? It must be somewhere else.
Maybe I know that Fishers are playing up in
Yeah,
Hamilton.
Fishers.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
not in India because my
Okay.
guy's high school. They're not doing anything yet.
Okay.
Although, according to my guys, that's not a real loss because the Blue Devils are not really your strongest.
Okay.
I bet they're stronger than the St. Anthony Spartans.
That's right. Miss Lizzie, nice to see you back at school.
Thank you. It's nice to be back, and it's nice to see everyone. It's fun.
So fun.
Our opening day for our school is tomorrow.
Oh, it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's opening day for us tomorrow.
And you have
And,
class
yeah.
hybrid.
We have labs are face-to-face, but lectures are virtual.
Okay.
So,
And students are moved in, I guess, if your
oh,
class.
there's a ton of them. I drove over because I forgot a book and they're all over the place. So I hadn't been over to campus in a while and yeah, they were all over the place. So they're there.
With masks or without?
It depends. It depends on the student. There's a few that kind of go both ways. So
For our guys for high school, they are all at home. You know, it's all e-learning, and so they're having to make up their own labs, like for physics and for they just have to like say what they could do at home, and so anyway, Henry's decided he's going to build a wind tunnel. And test things inside the wind tunnel. So we haven't started that, but apparently it requires, we have a full collection of like cardboard and duct tape and fans and stuff. So
Fun. I would guess your kids maybe have a different level of comfort with making up their own thing than your average bear. Hey, Andrew.
Hi.
It seems like Anul would know something about windmills, making something like that. Wind tunnels.
Well, you need a fan and you need a tube, and that's a wind tunnel.
You,
How
need to
big,
measure. You have to measure something.
how big of a tube? How big of a fan?
Depends on what you're trying to do a wind tunnel for. And of course, you need a very good way of measuring wind speed, like Justin said. But that's pretty trivial, actually.
An anemometer.
Wow, AC, way
To
to
start with, yeah, but then it was really
Easy for you to say.
Then also, you need a lot of incense sticks to generate the smoke.
Yay.
I found out about the incense sticks when I was doing the air testing for the what do you call them, the respirators that we were building at the asylum. Apparently, it's listed in all of the standard tests as a means of generating smoke, and they listed an Indian brand saying you should use this particular incense stick to get the right kind of smoke, so you can see where the air is flowing.
Wow.
It's so funny.
There's a really cool open source sensor for wind sensors called a hot wire anemometer, which there's a company called Modern Devices from Rhode Island that did an open source version of this. If you ever need that, you can get it from them. I can put it in the chat.
Yes, please.
Okay, well, this looks like about everyone, so I think we should get started. First of
We didn't
all,
hear back from Utah.
wanted to thank everyone for taking time out of their Sunday to get together to chat about the novel Co-Vision 2020. And I think it was Dina who suggested that we start thinking about what we can do. So maybe if you don't have anything to present today, next time we can talk about maybe something we can actually do to help bring about the future we'd like to live in. So just consider that as we're going through and talking about stuff today. So let's see, we are 51 days out from the election, and
Wow.
Up higher without
no,
the glare.
I can see it on here.
Okay.
It's very cool. And
Well, it doesn't even seem like it's that close. It really doesn't. We had talked about this earlier, but now that I see the number, it doesn't even seem like it's that close.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
a month and a half.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and I guess 538 has a 1 in 4 chance of a Trump victory. That's about what Hillary had at the close of the election last time. So if you can, pitch in however you can locally, there's still time to do something. But
I think there's a lot of time, and the closer it gets, the more intense it gets. So the time you have kind of, mathematically speaking, quadruple of lies, because people get really interested in it. And it has an effect. Far out, you go, yeah. But close in, you start paying attention. So I don't think we're anywhere near done.
No.
yeah, we're gonna see a lot more fouls before this is over. But I think the more he fouls, the more he's gonna lose by. So yeah, sorry, Dina, I saw you had your hand up.
well, I feel, yeah, so first of all, hi, everybody. It's great to see you all. And we were talking today to a political strategist in California about trying to ask the question, like, what can we do in Wyoming? And is it important to vote here or not? And I think we have a plurality of Wyoming voters, right, on the line today. And she actually didn't know that much about Wyoming, but her view was that the really important thing to do with a vote here is the state house. And that's actually the case in many places. And I have to say, so she was asking, so what are the issues and who are the people who are running for the state house? And, and I have to say, like, Jim and I have not been focused on those races nearly as much. And she's like, well, is it possible to get, more blue seats there? And what can you do there? And, her answer for Jim was, and this might resonate, right? So Jim, who's not here today, is a very handsome, articulate white man, right? Who, can walk into a room and I think, be not threatening and all of that. And so she actually kind of took him to task a little bit and said, you, sir, right, have the ability to do things in a very kind of gentle and non-threatening way that maybe other people can't. And so anyway, so that's, I think, where we're going to try to focus the next 50 so days.
Yeah,
Awesome.
great.
Way to go.
I'll just make Jim do it.
I do the same thing with Amy all the time.
So I'd love to hear from the other the registered voters in Wyoming, what you guys think about that.
I made a beautiful sign out of what do you call one of those little signs you put in front of a house for sale out of that piece of wire? And it says vote. So that just says vote, and it goes blue, red, and it just says vote. And I just wish people would vote. That's all I care about. It's not all I care about, but it's all I'm willing to push. Now, I was talking to my sister yesterday in Arkansas about their president, and she told me I was paranoid. And I said, I'm not paranoid. But she won't listen to the news even. She won't even listen to the news, and she wants to call me paranoid. She finds the news upsetting because, you know, it's so divisive and everything, for sure. But at least I'm still hanging in there and listening to it and trying to, well, all I really ever do is get upset by it, I guess. Now, full disclosure. But I'm, of all people, I'm not paranoid.
That's what they say. If you're not upset, you're not listening. You're not paying attention.
I should have said, I just didn't want to, that's my thing with the whole thing is, I think divisiveness is the big enemy. Up to now, I've thought divisiveness was the big enemy. And now I don't know what the big enemy is. It might be divisiveness is a good thing. I do not know.
Yeah. What are we going to do if we win? When we win?
You mean if Biden wins?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to have a big party. We're going to get drunk. We can relax. We can get a good night's sleep.
Well, I don't think that's the end though, because I think that the Congress is still, you know, like messed up. The whole system's kind of messed up, and I think the divisiveness, I think, is the problem, because I think that if there's some way, like the thing that keeps striking me is that there are all these Trump supporters who, like, I recognize them as my family and my friends from growing up and stuff like that, and it's just that they've bought into this whole vision of like a blame, and it doesn't help to just be against them. That just sets their mindset, right? And so I wonder if there's some way that we can do some kind of like, you know, win them over by, you know, like, I don't know, comedy or something. I don't know.
Well, there was a deal on NPR and what you do is, what they said you do is you find one thing that you can agree on. Like, do you care about your family? Not associating it with any political thing. Just find something that you both agree on and get a yes to that. And then you can build from there, but you cannot, as you said, do a full-on thing, because it won't change anything. You've got to go got to have the patience to go those little baby steps.
Absolutely.
Baby steps. Yeah, I think that's also good that Biden is the nominee, because he's by far the most vanilla, likable guy on the other side, I think. So, you know, you get a lot of Republican votes, Republican support for Biden. You see,
traditional Republicans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lincoln Project and Republicans against Trump. Republican voters against Trump.
See, that's the other thing I want to put in my front yard is Republicans against Trump, even though I might have to change my party affiliation to make it true. But I think that's a great sign.
You can get a Lincoln Project. Lincoln Project.
What's that?
That's a bunch of Republican voters against Trump. But that I'm a member of Lincoln Project, so anyone can be a member.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Republican Party was the party of Lincoln. If you haven't read it, Doris Kearns Goodwin's Team of Rivals, awesome book.
Yeah.
The one thing I think about right now is it's one thing to live through history, it's another thing to read about it with the pandemic. And, you know, we're actually living through history, pandemic. And we've read about them, you know, with measles, but it's a whole nother thing to live through something like this in history. And one of the things that I wonder is, although I think reading about it, you don't really get the true perspective, is what was the divisiveness that was pre-Civil War United States? You know, yeah, there were different issues. There was, you know, slavery, there was, you know, and which doesn't exist now, but are we similar enough that that's something we have to worry about now? I mean, being in California, you hear some somebody that throws out every now and then, which never happens, that crazy idea, we're going to secede from the union. I don't know if that's something that we have to worry about after this election. I don't know.
I think it's worth worrying about when Giuliani is talking about arresting Hillary and Barack if he loses the election. So I think it's probably not too early to start just thinking about that in the back of your mind. I don't know. It sounds crazy, but a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that. Was that today?
Today.
It's this weekend. It might have been yesterday. It might have been today.
But Trump said today that he would negotiate so that he could serve a third term because he got treated so poorly in his first term.
Oh, well, you know what? He's going to get out. He's going to go play the, what do you call those votes where you don't have to be there?
Absentee.
Yeah, that's the card he's going to play.
Well, he's telling his supporters to vote twice. So,
yeah.
You think?
You can do that?
To test the system.
He's going to play every time he can.
People can vote twice over there?
No.
No, but he said
he tells you to.
Oh, okay. That's kind of dumb.
Yeah, you think?
What is it you always say, Daddy? Vote early, vote often.
Vote early, vote often. I was joking, though. I swear.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Justini.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Okay, well,
We'll
so
say
having
back to the Wyoming thing. Circling back, Andrew and I have been helping out a local campaign here for the county commissioner. Sue Ibarra is running here in Laramie, and so we have, between the two of us, stamped 1,000 stamps for 500 mailers, and then I'm going to go around sometime later and help put some leaflets and flyers in people's doors. So
good job, babe.
Pretty excited about that.
Hey!
Nice.
That's activism, grassroots.
I just wrote 60 postcards today, and it was
by hand, big postcards.
Feeling like I'm doing a good job. I did not do 1,000 though.
1,000 individual stamps, 2 stamps per postcard, and I didn't have to do any handwritten stuff, so I've got nothing on 60 handwritten.
No, I think 1,000 trumps 60 any day. Do the math on that one.
It beats it. It beats it.
That's awesome. Who's her opponent? Sue's opponent?
Oh, I can't even think of his name right now. We see signs all over the place. Andrew, do you know? Tim something?
Do you see Sue's signs too, or just this other guy?
Yeah, I mean, in the area where we live, Sue lives just down the street, so pretty much every house along in here has a Sue yard thing.
Good. Well, she's awesome. I'm so glad she's running. The person we were writing the cards for, Cameron Webb, is running in a different district. And we saw, when we went down to Old Rag, we saw a lot of Trump farmers for Trump. And,
it's about half and half, which
but
is
then
pretty
we did
good.
see a lot of web signs, which was encouraging. So that was good.
Yesterday, as we were driving around, there was one of these enormous trucks, you know, the one that has like the 4 doors and the extendo situation. And it had 4 flags, 2 on either side of the pickup. And they were, you know, 5-6 foot flags that said, elect Trump, stop the nonsense.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Gotta stay.
So Jim was shouting, oxymoron. You know?
Hey, that reminds me, I'm going to get a MAGA hat, M-A-G-A. I'm going to tell everybody, you know, when they tell me how great I am, I'm going to say, yes, make America great again. Unelect Trump. Vote for Biden.
Yeah.
That'll shock them for sure.
Yeah.
We should get blue MAGA hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Anul, does it seem so weird to you not living and voting here that we are dealing with this situation?
Oh, me? No. We are pretty much in the same situation here. Our prime minister isn't any better than Trump. So, and things are going south over here as well. Especially with religious division, all kinds of class divisions. So it's kind of prelude to what might happen here when election times comes around, which is I think in a year or two. I think.
You know, I listened on NPR to, I think it was on Think, I'm not sure, 1A, it was on 1A, about the kleptocracy and how worldwide that bunch of guys are all working together to be in power. And, you know, and I was listening about England today, and that guy in England, he sounds like he's one of them too.
Boris Johnson.
Boris Johnson. Yeah, same with Putin, same with
Yes.
Kim.
China, North Korea. I don't know if Kim is dead yet though.
Yes, and it was called, I don't know what it was called, but it was about the kleptocracy. All these guys, and the main goal, because it's so valuable, is to stay in office. You do whatever it takes. And that's what I think we're going to see in November. And I don't know what I'm going to do then. I mean, I imagine myself throwing up somewhere.
Hey, Lizzie, you're going to say something?
I was just going to say that I saw a tweet that was in response to the giant flags. That was, my favorite joke is when Republicans say, this is what Biden's America will look like, with pictures of Trump's America.
Yeah. When we were at the March on Washington last week, one of the speakers said, and we want to make America great for the very first time.
Yeah.
Well, we just might, let's talk about this. We just might be going through a time when this is the way the world goes, you know? I mean, do you guys ever think about that? I do.
So you compare this to the 60s, Ramama.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. I thought it was all over then. I really did. I was looking for a new country to live in because, you know, Watts and all the riots.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the same kind of divisiveness over Vietnam.
Nixon.
I thought it was over then, and it wasn't. It wasn't. We kept on going, and we had a pretty good deal. So I don't know what to think, really.
One thing that I'm recognizing is how good we are at adapting. You know, this was unthinkable a year ago. We're all managing, you know, everyone has enough to eat. You adjust pretty quickly to it. And I think that's, you know, we're pretty robust. If you survive, you figure out, you know, how to deal with it. And if you don't survive, well, you don't have any worries either. So
Justini, I don't really think that way. People are really sick.
Yeah.
They're sicker. They're so sick. They're not, I mean, I guess we're adapting, yeah, but you know, like people who have been fine are now not fine anymore.
Inpatients you're seeing, Donnie?
Yeah, you know, I have a lot of patients who are employees who like would come in for their asthma or their shoulder hurts them, and now like they need mental health because the COVID and the social isolation, but for a lot of them, I have a lot of African American male employees, and it's the social justice on top of the COVID situation, and it's just it's overwhelming their coping mechanisms. And so I guess like, you know, if you're not dead, you're alive or something, but like people are sick.
okay, take it back.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's good to get that perspective because, you know, here, I just don't really see. I see everybody running around in masks, and You know, we've had 4 deaths for the last three months. I mean, it's not really anything happening. So it's really good to get that perspective, because I wonder about that. You know, we don't see it. I don't.
How many people know someone who has COVID now?
And
Some of
just,
you already
just I
know
want
this,
to kind
but
of
you go,
add to
Michael.
that is I've just seen from students I deal with, and maybe it's again being stereotypical that they're engineers too, and I want to kind of get Lizzie's take on this. Is I think that my students are struggling. They are. And maybe
Michael, could you
stereotypical.
remind us where you work?
I'm in San Luis Obispo at Cal Poly, and I have conversations with my students, and maybe it's the stereotypical part of being engineers, so they're already somewhat isolated. But when I have conversations with my students, I think that they struggle. I mean, I think that this has been really hard for them. And I had this conversation with my graduate students that, I mean, she just, just sitting in her desk and doing things is driving her crazy. And and again, maybe that's part of the stereotypical being an engineering student. But I think kind of what I'm seeing here, and we have a here with Tiana Arata, she led the Black Lives Matter movement here, and she has her case comes up again this week. They had a continuance the last couple weeks. There's a lot of students and people that are struggling here just to keep it together. And so just in my neck of the woods, that's just what I've seen. So
Interesting to see if that actually makes me want to look it up is if suicide rates have increased during the 6 months. I'm not sure, but I'm not hearing a lot about it here in India. People seem to have gotten used to this whole situation here. Maybe they are more adaptable over here. And 6 months later, pretty much everyone is going around their own business now. It's like, we'll see what happens when it happens, kind of a situation. But mental health, well, I'm sure it's affected a lot of people here, but hopefully I think it's not leading to an increase in suicides. I probably have to look up if there are numbers that kind of support that.
You guys know that? Dina or Dawn? Increase in suicide rates?
In America, it's up. So there have been some estimates. It's crazy high. So some people say as many as 40 to 60% of the US population is suffering with mental health.
A Kaiser Family Foundation survey just showed 45% of US adults reported an increase in mental illness. And and the largest provider of pharmacy benefits, Express Scripts, so in April said that there was a 78% increase in antidepressant and anti-anxiety, a 28% increase in antidepressant and anti-anxiety medication usage. 78% of them were new prescriptions for patients who had never had those medications before.
Mm.
Well, may I speak freely?
Please, Margaret.
No, that's why we're here.
Okay. I'm reading David McCullough's Pioneers.
Yeah.
And what those guys in Ohio had to go through. I mean, I'd have been on antidepressants the first day. I don't care what could go wrong. It did. And it doesn't hold a candle to what we're going through now. I mean, it just doesn't. Those people, their babies are all dying of the flu or some damn thing, and the river floods, and the Indians come, and they're just in search of their lives at all times. And we didn't have, medications for that. You just toughed it out. You went on, and now later, 100 years later, 200 years, they're writing books about it. So I was amazed by those people, how they could. What were they made of? They were supermen. I'm amazed by those people. And our situation now is, I don't know if it doesn't seem near as bad, actually, if I may say so. Don't be mad.
I'm not taking anything away from the settlers, but I think having the expectation that your society is functioning is a different paradigm than the pioneers had everything to gain and nothing to lose, right? If they were primogeniture, or they didn't have a life, their only chance was heading west.
Well, yes, and they took that. They did that. It wasn't like the West came at them. They
No,
went
no.
there. Right. They chose it. Okay, you're right.
Right, because they didn't have an option in their other life, right? If they weren't the oldest son, they didn't have an option.
Well, for whatever
Well,
reason.
and also I think, Margaret, in those days, right, the life expectancy was at least 20 years less than it is now.
That's
And
right.
so I think the expectation was they were going to die, right? If they were going to have a baby, the mother was going to die, and so many of the babies were going to die, right? And we did. I think Amy's right on. We have an expectation that we will survive having babies, and the babies will survive, and that, you know, and I mean, I totally get it, like, oh, the snake bites and floods and yucky things. You know, dentistry. Can you just even imagine dentistry in the pioneer days? Oh my God.
Oh my God.
So bad, right? So I totally get it, but I think Amy's right. We have a different expectation.
And it's on the shoulders of those pioneers, right? They did the work, and it's an advancement. So you have that expectation that your society is functional. And
they I guess the main point is they took that risk on themselves.
right, they knew that.
Yeah.
We didn't do anything to become pioneers and COVID pioneers.
But if we look at the expectation and what we expect and what the people of this country expect, oh yeah, we are getting a true test here. And I don't know, you know, I really don't know how to think about it. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna throw up if the son of a bitch wins, but I don't know what to make of it. It's all over the world. And is that reality? Is that the reality? Is that reality? And we've gotten away from reality because of all our washing machines and stuff.
I think expectations change as we get better. And I know I think about it when I talk to my students, and Justin and I've talked a little bit about some of my students have been leading, I have been leading the Black Lives Matter movement. And I think about just my grandfather's experiences, as he was chief detectives in the town he grew up in, and town I grew up in. And when officers would die, there would be pallbearers that would wear Ku Klux Klan regalia that reported to him. And he accepted that and said, this is what I have to get through to make it better. You know, and in my generation, I actually worked in a town where I went to a grocery store and I saw KKK guys, and I was like, this is unacceptable, I need to leave. So it was just a different expectation. I didn't think I had to accept what my grandfather thought he had to accept.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
What's the graph you're looking at, Justin?
This is a graph of global population as a function of time.
It looks pretty much exactly the same as the temperature rise over the same time period. If you look up XKCD.
Yeah, so I mean.
Except you have to flip the X and Y.
Oh, and this is in logarithmic scale, by the way. So.
Okay. Oh yeah, just noticed.
Donnie just got a total panic look.
So the human species is doing pretty good for itself. You know, all systems go. But I started looking at this because, you know, we've got a lot of these pyramids and stuff around the globe. And I'm just wondering, were there enough people to build all these pyramids? So I started looking up how many people there were, you know, 6,000 years ago, about, looks like 10 million people. And, you know, maybe that's enough.
But they weren't all in the pyramids area.
Correct.
Yeah, that's, I know, but I just wanted, that's definitely true. But if you could say there wasn't enough people, period, that would be, it's a harder argument to make the other one. But yeah, so they say that it takes about 20 to 30,000 people to make a pyramid. So, I don't think you're going to get out of it with just not enough people. But yeah, you have to. I mean, that's a hard thing to do, and they did it. So just taking a look at that. But what I'm pointing out is things are going to be different now than before because we have twice as many people than we had before. Every 30, 70 years or so.
That's an interesting concept, Justy, the notion that things won't be the same. I think that in those times, the scale of change was different. My own sense is that in the last 6 months, things have changed like irrevocably in like these key parts of how I live my life as an individual. I'd love to hear from others, Michael, as an educator or others, just how you guys feel like your lives will not go back or, have changed. Are you waving, Aim? Or are you just waving at Lizzie?
Head out to finish her homework. So.
Oh, bye, Lizzie.
Thanks to see you all, however briefly.
Yeah, Lizzie.
Bye.
Want to remind anything before you go?
Not anything succinctly. So no, but I will say that Colgate has been doing really well with COVID testing and everyone following guidelines.
That's good.
And someone drove through Hamilton and felt the need to email the Colgate University email and said that they couldn't believe how well everyone was following guidelines. They're like, I don't know what you're doing there, but it's really working. So that feels good. And it's nice to be here with everything else that's going on. So.
Okay, well, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. I wish I could stay and talk.
Next time.
Bye.
Good night.
Okay, so keep going, Beanie. I think that is more what, or I don't know for sure, but when you were saying how adaptable we are, that there have been radical changes that happened overnight and people caught up. I mean, not everything, obviously, but working from home, right? People before, if you had a disability, you couldn't work in an office because you couldn't physically get there. Well, it turns out people can work from home, and that's something that we didn't choose to look at as a society for because it wasn't necessary. But school, it's not necessarily optimal yet, but it is possible, which I think is a radical switch. So I didn't need to go, Michael, you were.
Yeah. No, I think one of the things I've just done with dealing with my students, and I think it took me last quarter to kind of realize that some of the issues they had is now with my virtual teaching part, I've put more forced connections in there with me and with other students of the class, which I normally wouldn't do. And I didn't realize how important that was. And I think that, again, maybe it's because they're already engineering students and they're, engineering students stereotypically tend to be more isolated. So I felt that was one of the things that they needed as, 18 to 22 or 23-year-olds, and they're already isolated with focusing on these problems they're working on for a long time. I put more forced connections in, and I felt that was important to do now. So.
Yeah.
Emily and Andrew.
So one project I have been mentoring this week is this school kid who is trying to build a computer that is more accessible for everyone. I mean, in India, most kids can't buy their own computers. And now that everything is online, so especially those in small towns and villages, they're kind of losing out on this whole learning situation. So he's been trying to come out with something that goes around the Raspberry Pi, modular kind of a situation where you can use different kinds of power sources that you have, maybe a power bank or whatever, and connect it to a plain old TV instead of anything fancy,
Smart.
because that's what's usually available for everyone. So, an analog signal that goes to a TV, and so maybe the system would come with just the Pi and a keyboard and mouse, and you supply the rest of the parts, or you could buy the whole stuff if you can pay for it and so on. But pretty interesting. It's still in, I mean, the teenager was still in 9th or 10th grade, so kind of interesting to see how that goes, because yeah, a lot of kids are struggling right now. Their only way of attending school is via the phone. They have to do it on the phone, and there's a lot of things you cannot do on the phone. You cannot access files or work on them and so on. So I mean, that's been a big challenge out here.
Yeah.
So let's see how that goes. Maybe we could turn it into a viable project at some point in time.
That would be so exciting.
Yeah, make a modular, low-cost system that can be built up right from choosing which Pi you want to work with. And
Yeah, the Raspberry Pi 4 is it's easy to surf the internet with the Raspberry Pi 4. It's really fast. I'm really impressed with it.
that's good to know, because I don't have my hands on one yet. But
How much does it cost, Justy?
Well, it starts at 35 and goes up the more memory you add, up to 55.
So could be affordable.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you do need like a
Keyboard and
monitor
mouse,
and
card.
keyboard.
Yeah. But like I said, if you use an existing TV, that reduces the cost. So this kid I'm working with, he estimates that it's going to be about, I'm converting this now, but around $75 without the television.
The Pine computers are pretty nice for $100 too.
Okay.
Pine 64.
I can look them up.
They have a laptop for $100 that, I was gonna try and teach Python from, but I never got around to doing it.
Is it modular in the sense, can you change parts around? Can you upgrade?
It's a laptop, so it's self-contained laptop.
So that's a great advantage of the Raspberry Pi, right? You can do a lot of, you can put an external drive.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of things which a regular laptop can't do.
That comes
still
with
small
keyboard,
enough.
mouse, and screen. So
yeah.
Hey, I want to hear from Andrew. You just moved into a new place. Let's hear how you're doing.
Yeah, it's been an adventure. I can't seem to catch a break, but also it makes me realize that I'm really fortunate to be in the position that I am. I mean, all things considered, I'm doing really well. I recently moved from Laramie out to St. Louis to work on my PhD, and my cousin lives here, so I'm renting a house from him, which is really lucky. I'm fortunate that that opportunity was available to me. But yeah, my car broke down, and it's been several weeks trying to get that fixed.
Your brand new car.
I know.
Yeah, my brand new car. It's like
Tell
a
them
month
what
old.
kind. Tell them what kind. Tell us.
Yeah, I bought a brand new Toyota Prius a few months ago. And we had some problems with it getting it out here, but I'm hoping to get that back tomorrow, so that'll be nice to have.
Good. That'll be a big boost to have it.
Yeah.
So how are you getting to school then?
I'm remote.
Oh, you don't have to go. Okay.
Yeah, classes start on Wednesday, and one class that'll be remote, and all my research is going to be remote. So yeah, I'm really fortunate that I can work from home, and that I can continue to work on really cool projects. So I'm pretty thankful of my situation, all things considered.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
You met with your lab people yet, or not?
Not in person. I've been talking to them all summer over Zoom.
But not in real life yet.
Yeah, Well, I mean, several members of the lab are not in the US either. The postdoc with our lab is in Australia. She is from Australia, so she's living there right now. And then my advisor was in California for a while. People are starting to come back to campus, but the virtual format is where it's at right now for most of our interaction, which is good. I mean, it works well, to be honest. It works okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
Hi, Samta.
Amy saying hi to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me see if I can hook her onto my phone, and then she can join us.
Ask her how is her leg.
Hey, does anyone
How's
have
your leg?
any-
How's
Oh,
your leg, Amy?
I'm almost all better. I'm good.
Oh,
To Donnie.
Plaster? Plaster has come.
Good. No problem.
does anyone have any projects to share or any readings, Donnie?
Oh yeah, so another project I got involved in this month was there's this Homi Baba Science Center, and what they've done is every day afternoon for 2 weeks, it's an open session where people join in and we talk stuff. So it usually covers everything: physics, chemistry, and the point is to get old coots like us to join in with little kids and discuss. But it's usually centered around a lot of specific topics. So like they're growing some biology stuff which I don't follow, but they're also discussing Arduino and microcontrollers and so on. So for a couple of hours every day, we all join in. They run their own video conferencing server on Jitsi. So I mean, they've done a pretty nice job of going full open source and everything. They have a nice Discord group where they post results of their experiments, and so kind of keeping the kids engaged, helping them out in this period, helping them out with their experiments, with deploying things, so blinking LEDs and so on.
Do you work with a specific school or just any kid can?
Well, anyone can join in as long as they have a link, but I'm afraid I think the link is not so well known. So it's a few kids that join in right now, but that's a start, I guess. So.
Yeah, that seems good.
That's awesome. What have you contributed?
Well, usually on the hardware side. So, I mean, people get stuck at, thinking like they want to build something, they have to an Arduino, but then I can go and kind of try and convince them that they can build their own Arduino with just 5 parts, and that's kind of surprising for them. So, but yeah, usually a lot on the hardware side and general
Yeah, that's
stuff
awesome.
here and there.
Good job.
But yeah, like I said, been discussing a lot of different topics, so kind of difficult to pinpoint one that we've been talking about. And also this week, my makerspace shut down locally. They moved to Goa, so which is awesome for them because Goa is such a fantastic place. They've got a great temporary residence there for 6 months until they figure out what they want to do. But yeah, I'm left without a makerspace here, except their 3D printer, which they left behind for me.
Yeah.
You have to go to go.
But yeah, but we did a lot of projects there. I don't know if I showed some of the stuff that I did. Let me quickly, because it would be interesting to some of the people over here. So for some reason, this thing is a cover for, let me see if I can, for what are known as P100 filters. So these go over face masks that are available from 3M, for example. And a doctor commissioned us to make these because he said we are touching the filters which we don't want to, and there's no way to avoid it. So we said, okay, we can make you a cover that goes over the filter. And I kind of quickly made this, which can be laser cut a couple of minutes, and he kind of made a couple of hundred for them. They said they probably even invest in a injection molded die. So I designed this second version for them, but then that turned out to be too expensive. So I designed the third version, which is in two parts, can be
Can I get you some pinky?
clipped together.
We have to have in our
So made those. I made some of these doorknob pullers or whatever you call them. Opens up like so.
Wow. And Noel, may I ask a question about the face mask filter, please?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So when you have that, what is preventing, so why is that the functional area? Why isn't, so is it just because of its proximity vis-a-vis the respiratory, right, like your nose and mouth? Why isn't every part of the mask
So I actually tried to talk the doctor out of doing this because I didn't see any reason why you would want to have a cover over a filter, because in any case everything's going to get dirty no matter what. If you put a cover over a filter, that's going to get hot, for example, with the virus. But he insisted. So who was I to argue against making some money out of it? Although I didn't make a single penny on it. But their rationale was they use two of these. Let me get back to my. So they use two of these filters that go kind of near your near your mouth. Okay, so there's a 3M mask, and then you plug in two of these, and then you breathe through it. And it seems they were like, even though they had dirty gloves and stuff, they were touching their face or the filter all the time, fiddling with it, and so on. So they wanted a way to avoid that for some reason. So apparently this solves a problem, although I'm not convinced if it is a solution for what the problem is. But I didn't really understand what the rationale behind doing this, but whatever I did kind of solved the problem because they were happy with it. So I guess it works.
So it looks like, Anul, that all that air, that surface area in the front, has to make it through that little nozzle on the back. Is that right?
That's right. This is the outlet. This is what connects to the.
I mean, the way it looks like there's not much room for the outside air to get to the nozzle, but I guess that's not a problem.
Well, no. So no, let me see if I can. So this is what the filters look like.
Okay.
And these are the same ones we use for the respirators. So these are kind of cartridges that you kind of plug in. This is a bayonet adapter.
Okay, so that's that back part's existing.
Yeah. This is a 3M design. So the filter comes from 3M. And we just put this cover over it to make sure that you don't touch the dirty parts, which is essentially the top surface.
Ah, I see. Yes.
Yeah. And then I made a couple of different versions of it.
Yeah.
So one thing that I found.
Sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
Oh, it's just like it seems like a lot of the hospitals, they really don't want to accept anything homemade, and so they would rather have something that's more industrial. And so if it kind of clicks in, looks like it's ready made, it seems like it's more acceptable to them. I don't know. It's funny though, like I've had a lot of interesting luck with like I printed like, I don't know, 1,000 or so face shields that people have taken, but I've not seen a single one in the wild. But I get continuous requests from a hospital in Western Massachusetts for just the mask extenders, just to make their existing PPE more comfortable. And that's been where I've been able to help out.
I think now industry should be caught up. You know, if you haven't found a way to meet your massive demands, I love that the makers filled in the gap but I don't think we can compete with industry now that everything should be up and
Sure.
running. And if they're still asking for stuff, I think it's because they're too cheap, because it seems to be all available. Anyone can get masks now, so they're looking.
I think one interesting area that locally, and I don't know the whole story, but gown making has been a new like cottage industry here, and I think that it's because a lot of the people who jumped in to try to fill this gap, they started asking the actual users, and so like they're actually finding new ways to make gowns that are better than the old ones.
Yeah, I can see that. Anul, you had your device app. Did you want to talk us through that real quick?
Yeah, just quickly because we finally finished this. I mean, it's technically done. This is the powered respirator or the PIPR. Essentially, it's got a blower inside it, and took us about a month to get here. So since I was the tech lead on this, technically it's kind of done. Although we haven't been able to sell it or even donate it to anyone yet. And it uses the same filters that I showed you earlier. So there's two cartridge filters that go there, and this is how it kind of goes around your waist, and then there's this nozzle that kind of goes up to your hood, like so. So yeah, I mean this project is kind of wrapped up from my side basically.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really nice.
But unfortunately, I can't get people to start using it. So just wanted to show you something else. Let me see if I can.
Anul, in India, has there been a drop off in ventilator use? In America, there's been a tremendous drop off. The question is
Uh,
whether it might go back up again if we have influenza, but
okay.
but just for COVID, there's been a tremendous decline.
Interesting. I'm not sure. I haven't, frankly, I stopped looking at news and numbers because things were getting scary. But the ballpark I know is that in India, numbers are increasing per week by a large margin. And up until now, there was a government imposed lockdown, which means you couldn't really wander around unless you had permission to do that and stuff like that. So things were pretty strict over here. But that's kind of becoming a bit relaxed now, which I think is going to see a huge spike in cases for sure. So, with that said, from what I'm hearing, hospitals are full, and by that would mean that the ventilators are well all being used, I guess.
Would you wear that? Can you make a papper just so you can wear it on yourself? Would you feel comfortable wearing that spacesuit around in
Oh
public?
yeah, I would. And then we tried another simpler one. I think I showed it the last time around. The bunny pepper, which is kind of much cheaper, about $50 or so. It's just kind of a polythene bag around your
Yeah,
face with a
yeah,
blower putting in. So that works as well. That's cheap, but I think no one's going to wear it.
yeah.
Uh, it looks kind of really weird. But the interesting thing was, let me show you this. Sept. Is a friend of mine shared this with me, and he's got this from China. It's a little device that hangs around your neck. It's got a little blower with a built-in battery and a blower speed control, and then the nozzle goes up to a regular N95 mask and also to the goggles, if you can spot it over here. So it prevents the goggles from fogging up. And he said this was around $15 to $20 from China, and uses HEPA filters. So this seemed like a really interesting solution to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure a lot more people would wear this than a full PAPR, because those look kind of really scary, and I think they are pretty much, I'd say, designed for use in medical situations. So,
I might
but
wear one of
this is
those
something that,
rather than a mask. You know, I have trouble breathing in a mask. When we're just going out on a walk, I'll get a little bit short of breath, but I would like a little bit of fan
yeah.
blowing. Sure.
So his feedback on this was it has been pretty awesome. It works for around 6 to 8 hours, depending on what speed you run it at.
Wow.
And he's had no trouble with breathing with classes and so on.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, if you can put a link for that in the chat, I might try and pick some of those up.
yeah, I'll dig it up in a while. But when he showed this to me, let me see how to get out of this. Well, it'll take me a while to dig that up. So
All right.
get back on it in a bit.
So, Donnie, I wonder if you have anything to read tonight.
Oh, no, I don't.
Really? Do you have a new job or anything?
I do have a new job.
Bill?
Okay, so you know, the VA, right? Big VA has 3 parts. Right, very good. So the biggest part is the Veterans Health Administration, VHA. That's what I work for. That's the hospitals. Then it's the Veterans Benefits Association. That's like what pays disability and GI Bill and, you know, that kind of thing. Pays out benefits. And then the third one is the Veterans Cemetery Association. So that's, you know, you've seen all the cemeteries, right? And they pay the death benefits and they do the honor roll and, you know, all that. So the VA is a secretary level, right? So we have a secretary of the VA. And then each one of those heads, you know, is the undersecretary. So the undersecretary for health is Rich Stone, and his assistant is called the deputy undersecretary. Her name is Carolyn Clancy, and she's a totally cool lady. And she used to run the agency for, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so she's this really cool lady, and her area of interest has always been in disparities research. And so I'm her advisor. So,
lucky for her.
So,
what are you advising her on, Dwani?
Yeah,
and is
so
it today's conversation?
So I'm advising her on COVID data infrastructure for the VA. And so, so I thought I would really love to hear, so my job is just to like help her to think about like, what data could we use in the VA, but what data could we use in the world to like help make decisions for the VA. So Anul, I don't know if you know, but the VA is the largest healthcare provider in America. It's actually the largest mental health care provider in the world. It's the largest owner of historic properties in America. It does more laundry than any other entity in the world. So kind of cool facts about the VA. So anyway, I was just wondering if everyone could just give me, like, if you could answer a question about COVID, what question would you go after?
When's it going to end?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. Oh, when's it going to end? Yeah. Okay. So like,
and I know the answer. I know the answer to never.
Oh, really? What's the answer?
Never. I mean, we're going to have to learn to live with it. It's not a virus that's going away anytime soon, for sure.
Okay. Well, but like from a healthcare perspective, like when's it going to end is actually a big question. Because like right now, right, every hospital has to make 2 of everything, right? You need 2 emergency rooms, a COVID ED and a regular one. You need 2 intensive care units, right? The regular one and the COVID one. And you have to staff everything twice as much, right? And so like people have been able to like hang on for 6 months, but like at some point either you hire twice the staff, like you've got to deal with it in a permanent way, right? So figuring out, are we done yet and can we go back to regular is like, I think, a fundamental question. We seem to have lost the new.
I think testing is very confusing right now because there's so many different tests out there, and they have very different efficacy and reporting rates and the time it takes and stuff like that. And it seems to me like that would really help you is if you in your infrastructure you have a way to get rapid results. Like if there's some way to better put more emphasis on studying and approving tests, because right now I think it's the Wild West with tests.
The magic 8-ball works as well as most of the tests out there.
Yeah, the testing is crazy. It's clearly part of the answer in terms of like being better able to manage things. But like some people claim they have it going really well because like there's some university that did their own saliva test and they're testing every other day, and but like it seems like I don't know what to trust, and I think that's part of the problem is that if we could have some solid, like reliable way, and then just instead of investing in 1,000 different tests, invest in 3 tests that can be made reliable and quick.
And when you test positive, it'd be nice to know what's the likelihood that you actually have COVID, and when you test negative, what's the probability that you actually don't have it?
Right.
It'd be nice if they were.
Yeah, I had that situation because when the asylum shut down recently, they had to do a COVID test before everyone could go to Goa. And Vaiba, who's the guy at the asylum, turned out he tested positive. And I'd been in touch with him practically for the whole month. So that was a bit of a scare. But then he did another test a day later, and that turned out negative. So
which one do you believe?
which makes things worse because now you don't really know which is which. It's neither positive nor negative, but we just kind of waited it out to see if anything develops, and nothing did, so that was all hunky-dory. But yeah, I think the reliability of testing is something that I'm more worried about than anything else. If we had a really more accurate percentage of successful testing, that would kind of help a lot in the long run, I guess.
Don, one question I have is actually, when I was in Indianapolis a couple weeks ago, I realized the movie theaters, they were open, or at least some of them were open. And I went and took my son to the drive-in actually to see the New Mutants. But one of my questions with COVID is I did a Google search on one of the AMC theaters in Indianapolis, and they were marketing that they put HEPA filters in the theaters so that as a result, they're safe. Now, with the Knowles device, it's a self-contained air source that's HEPA filtered. And scientifically, I wonder if you're in a large room and the air recirculates, I mean, it benefits, I would think, but I don't know how much it does. I really don't know. That would be a question I would have for someone. I know that they're marketing it that way, that you can go into this large room with a bunch of people and it'll have HEPA filtered air for the recirculation system and you're okay. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think that's a really important question because people are concerned about even just going into a hospital, and what kinds of ventilation systems need to be in place. So actually, I think actually the VA is in a great position to answer that because it's kind of like natural experiments, right? So there are 172 hospitals, and they each have slightly different ventilation systems. And so you could look at the nosocomial spread within the hospital. And so I think that is actually a really important question that I think the VA could answer. Thank you. That's a great idea.
Also, I think the airline industry has been furiously running to do some work on this. A lot of airlines are trying to publish research on how the use of HEPA filters inside confined spaces, aka aircraft, is safe.
Yeah, so the problem I think with the aircraft is you don't know who's positive, right? You only retrospectively know who's positive. So in the VA, there are some hospitals that actually do universal testing for every inpatient. So you know what room they're in and you know what their status is, right? And so, and you know if they're in a negative pressure room or not. And so it's actually, I think it's a great place to kind of do that experiment. I mean, the experiments are happening, so you just look at the data.
Right,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
already have the data.
As long as you capture the data.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Justin, this is the device we made at the asylum. This is the most current thing we're working on. A small handheld blower unit. It's got a, this is what the inside is, a blower, a LiPo battery, and a charger to charge the battery of USB. And then the hose over here, you hook it up to an N95 filter, and you're good to go. So maybe I could share these files with you. You need a laptop cooler, and you're good to go.
Okay, I think I have one of those. Yeah, I would give that a try.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay, cool.
you can build a device yourself rather than get one from China.
Okay, awesome. Well, let me give that a try.
Yep.
I have
Anyone
a question.
you'd like to share?
I have a question for you. My question is about risk assessment. I heard an interesting analogy probably about a month ago about the early AIDS epidemic. And the guideline there was abstinence only, basically. And, as we know, that's not, and maybe in a crisis, we need to go with the most extreme form of a guideline. But as we kind of move into a new normal, these sort of things like quarantining all the time or not having contact with anyone outside of your family are not really long-term solutions. And I think especially in college, I've been seeing a lot of this where younger people who maybe feel a little bit more immune to the more negative effects of COVID are kind of, because they aren't able to abide by the strictest form of the guideline, they're maybe throwing out all like, I guess, risk mitigating measures. And so if we had a very detailed kind of guidance system where you could figure out what activities had what sort of risk and kind of make your informed decision based off of that, I think moving into this next phase, that's going to be really important information to get out there, especially, I mean, to everyone, but especially people who maybe don't see the threat of a very, getting very sick as something that's going to like inform their decision making.
Thank you. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That will really help a lot, I guess. Yeah, for sure.
Sliding scale of risk.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw it, but like I think it was in North Carolina, they did those experiments, and I think they're still doing them. And so they compared like if you treated a medical person who treats a patient but you don't realize they're COVID versus like sharing a meal with someone versus being in the car with someone. Have you seen those? So like those results have come out. So
I've seen some stuff which is basically like I saw a paper that was basically published on like a stoplight scale. So like green was the lowest risk, and then yellow was medium risk, and then red was like a high risk situation. And that one was for being outside or inside or mask wearing or not mask wearing. And I thought that was really a nice. Not only was the data helpful, but the way it was communicated was helpful as well.
What did the study you saw say, Donnie?
So, I don't actually remember the percentages, but what struck me was that a medical professional taking care of a COVID positive patient, but they weren't aware. So they were just wearing regular masks, not the full
Yeah.
shenanigans, right? That was actually lower than sharing a meal without a mask.
I heard the
Um,
meal is the big deal.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was really surprised by how sharing the meal. I think it's because like we're salivating, so we're increasing our oral mucosal,
Talking.
fluids, and then
In a restaurant, you're talking loudly probably too.
That was the interesting thing the study was showing, was how loudly you had to speak. So they were talking about specifically meat packing factories where mask wearing is low, the ventilation is poor, and the machinery is loud, and that's why it's just like a flashpoint for contagion.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting insight.
yeah, that's why the church, because I guess the singing in the church,
Yeah.
a problem.
Level of comfort with those people because you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of on a more personal note, it's not, it's just, I guess, in my personal experience of what's going on with coronavirus, my household is now on lockdown because they've had a close contact over the course of a meal with someone who has since tested positive. So it's, I mean, just kind of a different perspective. It feels like a little bit of a change for me.
Yeah.
What were they thinking? That's what I want to say.
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of been frustrating because I wasn't at this meal. I was at home, and I've been feeling like I've been pretty conscious, but I still don't really have any control over the situation that I'm in.
Right.
Except that you do. It's not what you wanted, but you do, and you're going to stay in and quarantine or whatever you had to do. You have to do it now. It's not like you don't have control, but I know what you mean. It's through no fault of your own. You're stuck with this. Yeah.
And that's, I mean, the case for everyone, probably for the most part. Like, no one's going around, for the most part, actively spreading corona. So
yeah,
everyone's kind of having to, rely on the choices of others. But
when it's just what happens. That's what they mean by pandemic. It's just what happens, and so we can mitigate it to the best we can.
I mean, yeah. What happens when you go and have a meal with someone inside? That's a high risk activity. Like,
if it's not at your table, someone in there has COVID, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Now, can you can eat indoors in your states?
Yeah, and it's been kind of interesting in Wyoming, where we're never going to have an outbreak on the scale of some place as like LA or New York. And the politics are not very conducive to people wearing masks or people being that vigilant. Or so we've basically had business operating as normal for the last maybe 2 months or so. Everything, movie theaters are open, restaurants are open, inside.
Do people wear masks?
I can't really think. I would say about 50%. On average, over where I've been in the state, people are wearing masks.
I haven't been in a movie theater, but you think going to a movie theater?
Yeah, I mean, it's just not been something I've been interested in investigating.
You do risk analysis, it seems like.
Yeah.
But I had another follow-up question.
One interesting news bit I read recently was store personnel are now extremely scared of arguing with customers because they fear getting spat on.
Right.
Oh.
Shot here in the U.S. They've been shot.
Shot?
Yes.
Shot.
Because we love guns here.
Oh, geez. Wow.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
In a store, they asked somebody to put a mask on, and the employee was shot.
Oh.
Wow.
It was a while ago.
That's extreme. That's wild.
That's the U.S.
But yeah, and I think this was from the UK, so it wouldn't just be a US thing, I guess.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it's universal, pretty much. We have lots of folks here who refuse to wear masks. So, I mean, it's like there's no arguing with them. I mean.
Yeah.
So
And you put
the moment
yourself
they
at
open their
risk.
mouth, you got to run away. So
Yeah.
it's scary.
On the flip side, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and we were both agreeing. I love the masks. I think it's awesome. I hope that it stays forever. And I were just like, they're so nice. You know, you can, if you feel sick, put it on. It rocks. I love it.
Has everyone gotten their flu shot?
I have.
We don't have. Do you have it already?
Yeah. I went to CVS, got mine at CVS.
I got mine 3 weeks ago, Donnie. Do I get any public health star or anything?
You
Oh
totally.
my God. Because I don't think they have them in Casper. Mom was just asking if they were available, and we don't have it here.
We have them in Cheyenne.
Oh, really? Oh my God. So we got to get Mom.
Yeah.
I told her that she should wait another week so that the immunity would last a little longer.
Well, that's what I heard too. And then I was looking it up today to see, because I hear the other thing too, which is get them now. Don't wait.
Or they run out.
And run out. I didn't think of that. Oh my God, I don't want that. Ooh,
So one of the questions that we have to be prepared to answer is, so, you know, if there is a vaccine, the VA is preparing that there's going to be a vaccine November 1st, but it's going to be in limited supply. So, and you need a booster. So you need 2 doses, right? So let's say you have 100 vaccines. Do you give it to 50 people? How do you pick those 50 people? Or to give it to 50 people twice, or do you try to give it to 100 people and like hope for the best that one shot is better than none?
More,
Yeah. So how do you decide?
I'd pick doctors at the top of the list because that's where it stops, right?
Well, they have way more than 50 doctors, though.
Well, that's 50 doctors saved. Look at it that way.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think there is no way the VA is going to give it to the doctors. 0 chance of that.
Oh my goodness.
Well, and they also have
report.
They're also wear protective equipment too. I mean, right.
Yeah.
I mean, my neighbor is a psychiatrist who administers ECT, and so ECT is a very like high risk procedure because when you shock somebody's brain, they're gonna like be spitting and all kinds of stuff. And I mean, like he's fairly confident that he's fine because like they like they really suit up. I mean, they're like in spacesuits.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah.
One other interesting project I worked on this last week is transparent mask. That's not yet done, work in progress, but I guess a lot of complaints people have had with not wearing masks is people can't see their mouths or their expressions.
Louis Vuitton
And
has that
also-
solved, Anul.
Sorry?
Louis Vuitton just released his. It's at only $1,000. It looks fabulous. Keep up.
Jeez.
People read lips. It's important.
Yeah. Also, you can unlock phones once you have that.
Thank God. What were you gonna
fit with face lock or whatever. So but that's still work in progress because we can't get a good design worked out yet. It needs knowledge with casting silicone. So still
Kevin's
learning
the
that.
I mean,
I know.
He's all about that.
But he's like half a world away. So it's not like code that he can just kind of punch in on the screen. It needs to have hands-on experience. But I think we might get there. Let's see, sooner or later.
That's cool.
So yeah.
Dina, did you have something to say?
I'm trying to decide. So I have gotten a little burnt out on coronavirus. So I was working. So I'm very proud. And maybe other people are too. I don't know. So so I've been working around the clock on, like, it feels like only coronavirus related work. And so next week in JAMA, a paper that my team and I wrote on all the deferred care that I showed you guys. So that'll be coming out. And so I'm happy to send it to folks if they're interested in that. I think there are a lot of policy implications there. And going into the Labor Day weekend, I had been like all guns a-blazing, working on I think I've shared with you guys that if you do a search in Google or Apple or on many state public health, right, so the team that I lead for where you get a test is like, is informing all of those searches. And so the Google Maps team asked if we would convert that infrastructure into helping people to be able to first get influenza vaccines and then get coronavirus vaccines to the extent that they will be available soon. So I've been working on all that, but I have to say, like, it's not that my heart isn't in it. I don't mean that, but I just feel like I want to think about other things. And so, so Monday was Labor Day, and I took the last 4 days off of work, and I've been working on 2 projects during my time off. And I'm really excited about them, but they're not related to coronavirus. So I don't know if you guys are interested.
Please,
Yes, we are.
we're dying for something besides coronavirus.
Okay, so the 2 projects that I've been working on, and they've been going on for longer than just this time, but I spent more time on them. So one is, I'm very interested in the combination of elder housing and elder care. So Anul, I don't know how this works in other parts of the world, but in the United States, it's crazy. So assisted living facilities, memory care facilities are typically a real estate build, and they contract for healthcare services. And I think that that's just like ridiculous for so many reasons. And so I'm interested in the combination, right? If people live with you, you should be able to take perfect care of them. And I think that Amy's parents are examples of where, that really happened in a much better way than for many other folks. And I cannot believe that I would never have thought of this. So I made an investment in a company, and I've been working with them to try to really say, like, okay, if you make a new real estate investment and you're gonna do both at the same time, and it's totally tech enabled, and you use not doctors, but yes, doctors too, but like every level of healthcare provider, what could a modern assisted living facility look like? And how can you make that affordable? Wow. And so we are now like in conversations to build these at scale, I can't believe this, in Walmart parking lots around the country. Oh. And so Walmart is really interested because like they have a lot of senior citizens, many of their super centers, which my guess is many of you have not even been in one of these, but they have opticians and pharmacists and all of this. And so a lot of care already. So that's been interesting and exciting. And my job in that is to broker the world between Walmart and the real estate people and to kind of represent the care that could be provided.
Oh, awesome.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's so cool, Beanie. Did you read that?
And then the other project is kind of on the opposite. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, and so, I'm sorry.
Did you see the article that was in the New Yorker maybe 3 weeks ago about the Army Corps of Engineers and how they, not exactly the same job, but rapidly deploying negative pressure COVID units?
No, I didn't see that. I have it here, so I will go look at that. But
I'll send you the date. I have it upstairs. It's super interesting, but I think it would be really relatable to what you're doing.
Yeah, you can imagine now is not exactly the time that anyone wants to be building like a skilled nursing facility, right? But still, maybe it's like heightening our awareness for how you could do this better.
Yeah, I think you'll like this article.
So the other project.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay.
I was just going to say, assisted care is not too common in India. Parents usually just stay with their families and families take care of them. So
yeah, it's a much more civilized way to be, I think.
I don't know. Maybe, yeah.
So the other project is kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I've never done any work in Medicaid before, but I've become an advisor to a company that is all about food as medicine. And some of you don't know me that well, but I love to cook, and food is important, and I'm inspired by Amy and the pantry, and so the company is called Project Well, and I have, I'm an advisor to them, and I think I might become an investor as well. And they are so they've been working with populations. So about 2 years ago, Medicare and Medicaid changed their rules so that if you have populations that have diabetes or heart failure or hypertension, so your diet is part of your care plan, your health benefit can pay for it. And so this is like opening an entirely new way of paying for healthy food for vulnerable populations. And so I helped to craft a proposal to Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota to supply healthy prepared meals and food boxes for high-risk pregnant moms who have either gestational diabetes or preeclampsia. And yeah, and so anyway, so I'm really excited, and I don't think it's just because it's not COVID. I think it's because, it's like these are all, I think,
not COVID is good.
Yeah, but it is fun not to think about that a little bit.
How awesome! That's so cool.
And how much time are you spending on these new projects? I guess the last 4 days.
Well, no. So I've been doing it for a while, but the thing is, I took vacation, and so then I could work on this. But now I have to figure out how I'm possibly going to do this. I haven't figured that out yet, with like the other responsibilities.
Yeah.
Medicaid is income. Is income
low income?
Okay.
Yeah.
Medicare is 65 and older, correct?
Or if you have end-stage kidney disease requiring hemodialysis.
Right.
Well, I've got a couple of projects I want to share. If you guys want to see some LED projects.
Oh, yeah.
Most of you have already seen them, but we, because of our Clocky It on Etsy, someone asked if we could build this piece of art. So here it is.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, you might turn the overhead light off because you got a glare. So this is based on 3 Clocky It boards tied together, and it changes every 30 seconds. It says past is history, and of course it makes a bunch of sentences, 16 different sentences, and that might be a little too dark, but
okay.
There we go.
Jesse, what does it mean to be a synthesis?
Sentences.
Oh, sentences. Oh, okay, thank you.
And it changes, so you see now future is past. So it just goes through there, and it's internet enabled, so you can change. So you see that the background is blue and white, so that's the sky representing kind of time flowing, but you can also change that to other different backgrounds, but yeah, just like Clocky It. So this, because it's based on Clocky It, we're able to take advantage of the internet and all the backgrounds and stuff on that. So the next project is this project here, which is
this one is awesome.
This is not a map, so you can put any picture you want here, and the way we make these pictures is based on Badger, which is a black and white badge that we made for the Boston Maker Fair a while ago, and that was also one color, but usually when you try and make something one color, it doesn't look good, but this turned out really cool. So got a bunch of different modes, and the cool part about this is I was able to make something. This is a project from work where where there's I guess the unclassified term is a snapshot in time of the world's emitters. So I can we take something and make it looks like a map of the world, but it's from it's a snapshot in time of the world's emitters. So that's been kind of fun. But I've co-opted it to do other things. We put any picture here. So this is a fun project that we've been working on. And the final project is.
But Dusty, can we just say it's beautiful?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, and you see this just pops right out here. So it's just a piece of plexiglass there.
And then you laser cut the image in, or how?
Yeah, so that's laser etched. So it's cut out, but the background is laser etched, and it's just a dot. It's just a bunch like the way they used to use newspaper images that were only in black and white. It's the kind of the same process that they use there. So
I think the word is dithering.
Dithering?
Yep, or halftone.
I'm not sure if it's halftone or not, but because each one is either on or off. It's in the image process.
Yeah,
so
that's the idea of a halftone or dithering, is that you convert a multi-level into a cluster of dots that represent the gray level.
Yeah. But that's fun. And the last one is this here. This is Fibonacci time. It's based on a board that a guy named Jason Kuhn sent from Kansas City. And that's this center ring. It's 256 LEDs in the configuration of a sunflower. And you can say where each LED is from an equation, that depicts exponential growth. And I put a ring of LEDs around the outside so I can edge-lit these numbers showing the clock. And once you have the position of each of the LEDs around the outside and the LEDs in the middle, you can do some pretty cool stuff. So, where you see now is based on the XY position of each LED. And then this, of course, is the edge lighting up with the outside, depicting where that ball is bouncing around. And we have conservation of energy and the correct bouncing off of there. So this has been and gravity.
Is it intended? Are you wanting it to tell time as well?
It does also tell time, but I decided this is just a little bit more dynamic than the clock version of it. But it does also tell time. But if we're still on, I'll leave it to you to imagine that it also tells time, because I'm not going to get that in tonight. But
yeah, it's kind of hypnotic, so you don't care if it tells time or not.
Right? Yeah, it's now. Don't worry about it, because refer to this.
So I'm in a Slack group at work that they're obsessed with watches. A lot of them very high-end watches, and one guy posted a picture of his wrist, and he had a tattoo on his wrist that said "now," and he says, "I'm amazed at the accuracy of my new timepiece."
Funny. I can tell that was
funny.
A tattoo. Now.
Yeah.
Okay. Amy, do you have something for us?
Kind of. Just a little piece.
Can we see it?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I sent it to you.
Okay. Share screen?
Sure.
It's a document that I shared with you. So I've been, I did a kind of a slow reading book group this summer where we read the Matrix and Annie Dillard book that I just sent to you, Donnie, right? Did you get it? And then I've been taking these, the Phillips collection, which is the museum here that I love. They're still closed, but they've had a once a week art instructor and a yoga instructor that do a meditation on one piece of art. And they are so fun, and the instructors are so cool, and I love the way they interact with each other. But this week they did this artist whom I did not know, whose name is Lauren McIver, and she was the first woman who was represented at MoMA in New York with this piece, which is, I guess not. Oh, so she and her husband lived in this shack in the dunes on Martha's Vineyard. And that was very prominent in this book, The Matrix, that I read this summer. So I loved that. And then this is her piece that's at MoMA, which is really hard to see here, but that's their shack where they lived. And there's the bed and the just kind of a bird's eye view with the walls folded out. And I just love the perspective of this. And I learned so much about her during this thing, and so I thought that was interesting. This was the piece that the meditation, the kind of breathing was on, was this window shade that's at the Phillips. This other one is the one that's at MoMA. That was the first piece they purchased by a woman in 1935. But this was the piece that they did this kind of exercise on, which I thought was cool, this window shade. But she was very interesting, and I think when she was, I guess she was super nerdy. She wanted to be a biographer of Joan of Arc, and she just read all the time. Boston, Kevin. And when she was 15, her father died suddenly, and there were 4 children. She was the oldest. So she switched her school to a vocational track and got a stenographer's certificate.
How do you spell her name?
Maciver, and her first name is Lauren, Loren. So because her mom was just destroyed by her dad's death, and so she supported her family at 16 as a stenographer, but still took art and literature classes at night, and went to Paris by herself when she was 19, studied all over the world, and loved the light in North Africa. And she said she talked about how she was trying to figure that out for the rest of her life. But I just loved her sense of creativity and wonder and delight in the world. And the person who did the talk on her included this letter, and I loved her handwriting as well, but it's transcribed into readable. But I liked this. She said, "To discover, explore, invite, to be surprised suddenly by magic at your feet, in the sky, what luck, gold glints on kitchen shelves, forget-me-not, gas flames, smuggled earthenware, wine shadows that bloom like dark roses. God lives amidst the pots and pans. The palette, a bouquet on good days, arranging itself, reflecting skylights, gardens, mountain ranges of steep paint, a range of white, snow-covered, to black, so far away in mines, rivers, you can hear it singing. Votive lights red, banked like live coals, a tremendous comfort on winter nights. They offer the same solace, so smoky, fragrant, a host of memories." And
Nice.
yeah, I just think she's so cool. And then this was another little just page of her notes. I thought of you, Donnie. These are all things she wants to paint at some point. Smoke of cigarettes, locomotives, chimneys, steamboats, etc. A series on mourners in various kinds of black veils, gloves with undertakers. Still other subjects, such as dancers, their naked legs only, observed in action, or the hands of their hairdressers, and endless impressions, cafes at night with the different values of the lamps reflected in the mirrors. So I thought she was so cool. And it was a fun serendipity that I had just read this book that they lived in a shack like that. So that's it.
Hey, Kevin, since you're our like online researcher, could you get a picture of her? Can you get an image?
I have a great picture of her. So I sent a note to the woman that did that's the art educator for the Phillips, and she sent me all of her notes, and that's what that. I love her handwriting in those letters. But let me show
Well, here's the one I found real quick.
Okay. Yeah, isn't she cool?
She's so cool.
I know.
Way to go, Kevin.
I'm curious about her, or I'd like to learn more about her. But it's just such a fun thing, and so just a different way to experience the art, I guess.
Those shacks are a real Cape thing. That's like they're cool.
Have you read The Maytrees by Annie Dillard?
No.
All about the Cape, and so good. The writing is
cool,
unbelievably good.
Some people call it the Cape, others call it the cod. You know, it's a choice.
So that can you
only people who have never been.
Amy, will you tell a little bit about how they run the meditation, or how that works?
So one woman is a neuroscientist and a yoga instructor, and I'll send you the link. It's free. Anybody can do it. And then this other woman is an art educator for the Phillips. So you
sit in front of your computer? Is that the way you do it?
Yeah, it's a Zoom thing, and they want you to have your video on. And it's mostly breathing kind of things, but she guides you through the artwork. Like you look at the artwork, and then she has you concentrate on different parts of it, and then she'll do kind of a relaxation thing. It's so great. I really, really love it. And then at the end, and I don't have any idea how long that part of it is, but at the end of her kind of relaxation thing, then the art person from the Phillips gives some background, and she does all this in-depth research on the artist, and the way they choose the pieces is super interesting. And she'll start it by asking everyone just to say a few words about what their impression of the piece of art, about what they thought, and then she kind of incorporates that into her talk. And so she gives some biographical information, but then what the pieces are at the Phillips and the history of the artist. And Duncan Phillips, that started the Phillips, was the first modern art museum in the US. He had money to encourage young artists. And so
Phillips was the first modern art museum in the US?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Right here in our town.
I mean, Donnie got us with the laundry factoid earlier, but this is a good one.
And we went to the Phillips when we've been.
I know.
So yeah, it's a lovely, lovely thing. I've enjoyed it so much. I've just done a few, but I've signed up for a bunch more.
So AC, you said earlier you've been doing I think you used the phrase slow reading. I assume that's kind of
It's called a slow reading book group.
Where we eat pink donuts.
Yes, we eat pink donuts.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this because
is it like the slow food movement, I guess, but it's slow reading.
I'm excited about this because this is something that I've been putting off for almost 5 years now. Learning a program called Blender is very intimidating when you open it up. but I finally took the plunge this month, and I took an excellent tutorial by an Australian guy who's so funny. It's really interesting to just watch his videos as he teaches you this program. It's a great way to kind of learn how to teach. And this is my first computer donut,
Wow.
which took me a week to get here. Something that I've been putting off for 5 years. So I was extremely excited about having achieved this milestone over the last week or month. And then I'm
Did
going to,
you
of course,
choose the
be using it for
flavor?
doing this kind of stuff.
It looks delicious.
Can you choose
Well,
chocolate or maple?
well, I can make it chocolate for sure.
Okay.
That's well within your power.
Oh yeah, I can make picture perfect donuts now. That's the important thing. But yeah, I mean it's amazing, you know, how easy something seems when you have the right kind of tutor to guide you, and you don't need a lot of tutoring, because I mean I just glanced through his tutorial and got the gist of what needs to be done, and then I was on my own. So I think there's great value in doing that kind of videos, even when you're new at something. So I'm going to now do a video on this and teach others how to get to the same level.
Oh, that's
Even though I'm not even an expert, like 1 week is kind of.
Yeah. Well, you've tied things together with FreeCAD and also KeyCAD. That
Yep.
you've opened this up to a lot of people, and
Yeah.
a lot of excitement about. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that was another interesting project I worked on. Was I created a series of tutorials for Hackaday on how to design circuit boards and how to do mechanical CAD and stuff like that. So,
But tying Blender with KeyCAD, I think, is what
oh yeah,
what I was talking about. That really seemed to light up Twitter.
Yep. And hopefully, if they agree, it's going to be my talk or workshop at the next Hackaday event. They are calling it the Remoticon. So
Oh, wow.
remote, virtual con or whatever.
Nice.
So I haven't heard back, but I hope they take it up on that.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're coming up to the end of 2 hours, and I think that's probably enough. Does anyone have anything, final words to wrap up?
Well, I'm hungry now. I had a chai.
That's good.
I just want to say, you guys are awesome, every single one of you. I'm just honored to be here. Thank you so much.
You lead the way, Grandmama.
Yeah, that's right.
You do, Grandmama.
And I
For
just
sure.
want to thank Justy for bringing us together. It's
Thanks,
been
Justin.
really kind of a
Yeah.
fun, oddly remarkable, wonderful thing that you do. So thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Okay, that's
Well,
cool.
thanks.
Also, thanks for making me get up so early. I was motivated to do it today, so I hope to do it again the next time we meet up, which is in 2 weeks, maybe?
A month.
October 4th.
month.
If we keep
Okay.
it the first, is the first
Yeah.
Sunday or the second
Mhm.
Sunday? Anybody have a preference?
Awesome.
Moved it because of
Looks to be-
Labor Day, but let's say October 4th.
And we kind of already have an assignment, you know, what can we do? And we have a lot of capability here. We got a lot of, you know, inventors and prototypers and investors and big thinkers. You know, we can do something, we might be able to do something really big here. So think about what we can do, and let's see what we can make happen.
You never know what affect you just never know. So it's worth thinking about. You got the right thing. You got a team here. Let's use it.
Yep,
Let's do it. Okay.
let's do it.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
night, everybody.
All right,
Good
everyone.
night.
See you.
Okay, see you
Bye-bye.
soon.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, you did.
I
Amy
just said maybe our peeps will stay on.
You guys got the message.
I know, psychic.
Hmm.
So cool.
Emily, I thought your question was, at least for me, the most pertinent, coolest question and useful.
That was
About
really smart.
picking
Which one?
that work the best, and I thought that was
Stop for a sec.